Very excited to be here. We had a little bit of rain earlier today in Sebring, and so we are very curious, you and I and all of these drivers, about what the next 40 minutes brings. And I'm actually seeing some raindrops that are probably coming off of the roof or whatever. But yeah, let's take a look at the Sebring racetrack here at the airport.
Indeed. So in Central Florida, Sebring is hallowed ground for many, many sports car stars throughout the ages. From 1950, this track has hosted Formula One races to the 12 Hours of Sebring and some famous corners providing plenty of passing opportunities, of course, into Turn 1, down into the hairpin at the hotel corner of Turn 7. Turn 10 can be a good one if you get the switchback, and always an opportunity as you go into the bends near the airport, over from turn 13 through to turn 15. Of course, it's important to get a fantastic run out of turn 16 down that long back straightaway on the old concrete runways as we see the tail end of the field come through. And it will just be one pace lap behind the USAC safety car. And then it'll be time to get this championship underway proper. Of course, a number of days of testing. Wayne Williams having a bit of a lock-up there as he tries to get some heat into his hand-cooked rubber. The starting grid is on the side. And from the back of the grid, the only news is that Aaron Ziegler will move up one because Kenny Nail is not participating in this one.
Kenny had an incident earlier on Thursday, free practice one, let's call it free test one. It wasn't really a sanctioned Radical Cup session, but it was a test session, and he did come into contact with Wayne Williams. That chassied his car, that contact, and so Kenny has been in a rental car, and he has decided to hang up the boots for the moment and watch this one from the side.
Yeah, so Ziegler will start from the 12th row of the grid. On the 11th row of the grid, it'll be Nico Balkazoon, one of our youngest competitors, alongside Evan Wolf from Crown with Radical Arizona. From row 10 on the grid, it's Dave Mason for Radical Indianapolis GRP. Alongside him will be another young gun in Declan Dion Narine with Ricebeck. From row 9 on the grid, it's Mike D'Ambrose. Look out for the wily old fox. He was on pole for Pro 1340. It'll be a good battle between him and the young gun Declan. Alongside him will start Josh Holtz, another newcomer to the field. From row 8, it's Nick Pearson, returning to the grid for Group A. Alongside him will be his fellow teammate Dennis Kelly. Cameron Racing's Valen Venkatesh will start from the 7th row of the grid in position 14. Alongside him, it's Sam McDougall for Group A, and he'll be starting from 6th in class rather. From the 6th row of the grid, Chris Hoon for Primal Motorsports will start alongside Luke Kendall. Luke, one to watch in Pro 1500. So too is Matt Romer, who will start just a row up in row 5. Alongside him, Jack Yang for Valor Motorsports. Ryan Persing for One Motorsports will start from the 4th row of the grid. Alongside him, the pole sitter in Pro 1500, Jonas Axbo. Then it's Jim Booth, Scott Wagner, Ben Blander from the 2nd row of the grid alongside Chip Romer, and Wayne Williams will be starting alongside Robert Rossi, who will lead us to the first green flag of 2026, and they are away already 3, almost 4 wide as they head down into turn 1. A fantastic start then from Scott Wagner, who's almost eclipsed Chip Romer, who does his own fantastic outbraking maneuver and gets Wayne Williams on the entry to turn 1. Superb stuff from the front runners in the Platinum class.
Is that Wagner? Looks like Wagner looking at P3. Wayne Williams down to P4. Side by side in Pro 1500, 3 wide in Pro 1500. There goes Matt Romer to the front.
And it looks like Jim Booth is just caught in that tussle with some of the Pro 1500 front runners. Jim Booth now getting a good run. You can see Wayne Williams already on the gearbox of the 82 machine of Scott Wagner. Ben Blander also in the thick of this, but look at this, 3 wide down into the hairpin for the first time. It's almost a traffic jam at turn 7, with drivers looking to make amends for what has been an interesting start for some of them. It's Jonas Axbo, though, who has the lead in Pro 1500. Matt Roma up there, and Ryan Persing as well.
Honorable mention right now to Hoon, who just overtook Yang in turn 7, and he's a little bit further up in the grid than you would expect Hoon to
bit of a
see.
hip
Wow,
and
little
shoulder.
touch.
Sam McDougall takes a little bit of a tap as they head down into 13 for the first time. And McDougall, Sam, really under some pressure. It looks like Jack Young's fallen back, Valen Venkatesh too, so there has been a little bit of commotion on this opening lap in Pro 1500. And there is Yang. So just ahead is the 10.
And there's
Dennis
D'Ambrose.
Kelly.
He leads in the 1340
Wayne
class.
Williams.
Wayne Williams off.
So the reigning champion spinning around after a disastrous lap 1 of a new championship season. But there's 37 minutes of racing to go and plenty of time for Wayne Williams to recover. But that has put him back after a reasonably safe start.
Look at Romer right now, and Persing going at it side by side into turn 1. Romer on the inside.
Sometimes it's possible to run around the outside if the driver to the inside gives you enough room. Look at this, though. This has given the opportunity for Kendall to have a look. Kendall trying to make amends for a qualifying. They almost touch the 29 of Persing. Right in the thick of things early on.
Good work getting out of it, Luke. Good work, not just being able to battle for another day there.
And perhaps the slightly older shoulders of Matt Roma really coming into effect there, because he's now gapped the young gun in Ryan Persing, whilst Luke Kendall's pressuring the number 29. So we're right on board now. Just trying to pick up who
this looks
that
like Matt.
is. It is Matt, just ahead of that drama. He's coming down into turn 10.
And again, more kudos to Hoon. More kudos to Chris Hoon, who is right behind this battle with Kendall, Persing, Romer in the gold class.
So there was Axbo. He was behind Booth, and the timing screen just hasn't quite caught up. This is going to be the trouble for the 32 car, is that he's on the tail end of the Platinum class cars. A stellar job to reclaim the pole position in the qualifying session this morning from that stunning Tiger Beetle car.
And let's just be sure, Axbo is not wanting to race Booth. He wants Booth to use the torque from that SR10 and get out of here. Clear me, gap me, so I don't have to deal with you as I come through the tighter parts of this racetrack as you get through turn 5.
So the race has ever so slightly settled down as the leaders start lap 3. Some fantastic shots around the final corner here. That was the entry. This is the exit. Dare to run as close as you can to the outside wall, which quickly becomes the inside wall for turn 1. And Matt Roma now under pressure, so the small gap that he'd gained is gone. Ryan Persing looking to take a position off an old teammate.
Talked to Matt Romer earlier, asked him if he was happy with his chassis, asked him if he was happy with his setup. He is. He just wasn't happy with the guy behind the wheel. And so hopefully he's settled down here in the last couple of hours since qualifying. He reckons he's not a great qualifier, but I've raced with Romer before. He is an exceptional racer, and he's showing that right now against Persing.
Be interesting to see if Kendall can just jump on the back of this small train.
And don't let him go, Chris. Hoon, right behind that 3-pack there and leading in the gold.
Yeah, and speaking of leading, Mike D'Ambrose doing a solid job in Pro 1340 as well. But look at that, young Nico Balkazoon in second in class, 13 years of age, and a stunning performance on his Radical Cup debut.
Yeah, and we'll have to look at the tape and see what happened to Declan Dianery and see exactly why he bounced back a little bit. Remember, he was on the row with D'Ambrose when this race started.
Yeah, it's been not a good start for Declan, but another young gun with a big future ahead.
And glad we're following this one, because this right now is the battle on track that seems most interesting as they make their way through turn 16 now.
Slightly different lines there from the two One Motorsports cars to the Valor Motorsports car of Luke Kendall behind, and you can see that there's a little bit of water on the back straight. Something getting kicked up by a couple of cars now. Maybe the bottoming out of the floor.
And I can still visually see from the booth, you can see that there's some standing water on the front straight in certain parts of the racetrack. It poured hard about 2 hours ago, but then it let up, and actually as the cars were rolling out, we're getting a little bit of raindrops here, but right now we are dry and we are green.
Yeah, very lucky to get this race underway on time. Some lightning in the area as well. That was looking to delay the start of this race. Could have impacted the total time that this race would be, but it is on time and a 40-minute sprint race, as we'd expect from the championship. So the drivers certainly settling into a reasonably long sprint race, and so far green flag running from the Radical Cup field. So we ride on board now with Josh Holtz, another newcomer to the championship.
Josh did some testing over the winter time there at Apex, and he entered one of the club races. Did very well, didn't he?
Absolutely. Took a pole, a win as well, I believe. And now he's going to be hunting down the likes of Dennis Kelly, Sam McDougall, Valen Venkatesh with Wayne Williams, hopefully, who can play a little bit of a door opener, if you will.
Back on board with Romer.
So you can see how hard these guys are working around this circuit. The concrete, of course, has played host to so many famous names, victories over the years, and Roma has got a miracle.
He's got his hands full right now. He certainly does.
And it just looks like Luke Kendall has dropped back quite a bit, in fact, into the clutches of Chris Hoon.
I'm thinking that Persing is probably liking the position that he's in right now as the one that is chasing the lead car that he wants to overtake. That was my question earlier in the weekend, is does young Persing have the talent and the maturity and the patience to get it done over a period of 40 minutes? I think that he does, but he's certainly looking underneath Matt Romer right now into turn 17.
Fantastic job. We'll see if Matt can get the switchback. He can't. Great cast placement from the young kid from California, Persing, ahead of Roma. Now, what can he do about Expo? There is nothing between him and the lead of this race, as Matt has a little look back. But I think Matt's got to be careful not to lose momentum in that part of the course.
Cheeky. Yeah, just being cheeky there.
You can actually see how laid over the rear wing of Chris Hoon is, taking out the downforce. Indeed, it looks like Luke Kendall, the same thing.
And just as you mentioned that, it looked like Hoon pushes just a touch wide going into 5. And you can see where he's lost about a half second.
It's amazing how much of a gap the 29 of Persing's already pulled out on Matt Roma. So Roma looked relatively comfortable in the head of that pack, and now he's falling back quite quickly.
I think Ryan was listening to me. It's like, I'll show you, bud. I know what I'm doing in this car.
Expo's done a 209 flat. Ryan Persing's looks to me like he's about 9/10 slower, but of course he was getting held up by Roma. So now that he's been released, we'll see if Persing can match the pace or even better than Expo, who would be feeling relatively relaxed at the moment. But I'm sure the team will be informing him that perhaps a slightly bigger foe may be soon appearing in the mirrors.
And he's only 4 seconds back And so Expo did some good work in these first 5 laps to put basically 6 seconds between him and Pershing and Romer, and now that leaves about 4 seconds. Back on board with Williams.
Williams recovering, sits 12th overall at the moment, has got that gaggle of Pro 1500 cars, and indeed Chris Hoon, the leader of the gold class, ahead before he even gets onto the back of Jim Booth. So plenty of work to do for recovery drive of Wayne Williams. Robert Rossi, meanwhile, doing it easy. A 2:04 flat is his best time. Certainly on the provisional pole for the next one. The lap times in this race set the grid for race 2.
Exciting times for Rossi. His first time back in the car in 3 or 4 years. And it's like he hasn't missed a beat leading the field here at Radical Cup.
Quite remarkable, because every year it seems like the competition continues to elevate itself. Last year we saw some great battles all throughout that Platinum class. Scott Wagner, Wayne Williams, Louis Schreiber,
Stevie Jenks, who we're not seeing this weekend.
Steve Jenks, Chip Romer, they all had an opportunity, a genuine opportunity to win. And they're all pushing each other all season long. Certainly, I would have thought the champion, Wayne Williams, would have been probably had the best odds going into the weekend, but Robert Rossi has proved everyone wrong and put everyone on notice immediately.
It's enjoyable to watch, too. What a nice guy, too. You sit down with Robert Rossi, he's a good guy to chat with, and he's really excited to be back in the Cup, doing a full season potentially. He might be cherry-picking a couple, but who knows? If he leads the points leading Sebring, you might see that guy in some more races.
So Persing is doing a solid job now of just, certainly he's well and truly in command of second place. His lap times have come down, but the man ahead, Jonas Axbo, is matching the pace and slightly bettering it. A 2:08.9 is his fastest.
Continuing to get organized deeper into the field, where D'Ambrose is enjoying his lead, which is sizable, about 19 seconds, if my math is correct, over Nico.
And this battle's shaping up well as well. This is Sam McDougall hunting Valen Venkatesh, who's now running the famous number 19, the Steve Cameron number. The Cameron Motorsports does their best to reserve every single year. And interestingly enough, Sam McDougall a one-time... Oh,
wow,
they touched!
There. Oh, my goodness.
So McDougall comes out of the slipstream, slightly misjudges it, and McDougall makes
you think they touched?
vague contact, I'm sure of it. But luckily, it was all good. Now, they've had a spin in front of them. That might be...
Yeah, that's going to be the other Group A car. That's going to be
Pearson.
Pearson, yeah, Nick. Yes, and we are seeing some rain that's actually coming down. It looked like on the end of that runway, as you approach turn 17, where Bennett was getting on top of Venkatesh, it looked wet on the pavement, and sure enough, we are seeing some drizzle out there.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of spray coming up behind the car in the background there. We're riding on board now with Josh Holtz. The full course caution is out. And so Charlie Kimball, of course a former IndyCar race winner, has decided that with this downpour, the full course caution is coming out, and I wonder whether we will see a red flag and a change to wet weather tyres. Certainly, as you can see from the onboard.
Yeah, and in fact, he's got his red flag in his hand, the start and stop guy. He has not displayed it yet, but it looks like it's in his hand. It doesn't seem like there's an incident anywhere on track. This looks like it's going to be a weather situation.
Yeah, so there's a flag that the starter is holding for, obviously, slippery conditions. But we have got significant raindrops. The safety car has picked up the leader. Now, there is a provision to change over to wet tyres, and that's what I started explaining before. That would be full course caution with Hoon running off. And this is the problem, that the amount of rain that we just had, as you can see Wayne Williams struggling to pull it up as well, has been monumental. We saw this in the Ford race just before this one. and these cells seem to pop out of nowhere and just dump massive amounts of moisture onto the surface. Now, there's 24 minutes remaining. As Charlie Kimball did suggest in the driver's briefing, the procedure for an incident or an issue like this would be to get the field under the safety car, bring everyone in to pit lane, and then have everyone change onto wet weather tyres. But you can see the amount of moisture on board is just unbelievable. It doesn't look that bad out of the commentary booth window, but look at this. I mean, this is like monsoon weather, as everyone's just trying to survive behind the safety car. They know that if they can just keep it on the black stuff, or in this case the grey stuff, the concrete.
Well, interestingly, Tom, I would say that, and we're hearing in our ear that, yes, we are going to go red flag and they are going to send the field in for tires. But before I say that, I was going to say, I wonder if this is just a full course caution for a couple of laps, and then they go back.
Well, I dare say we're going to burn up some hand-cooked rubber, because inevitably, being in the middle of Florida, we've had the tropical downpour, and now the sunshine will be out, drying everything rather rapidly. But
rest very well assured that most of these drivers, maybe not all of them, but most of these drivers are mildly agitated at the moment, because driving this racetrack, certainly in this racing series in the wet, is tricky. It's super tricky, and now these guys are going to have to deal. They've got their hands full just keeping the car.
So it looked to me like most people had survived. We saw Chris Hoon run wide. Wayne Williams was also, but I don't think we've lost anyone in the drama. Mike D'Ambrose is still in the lead of Pro 1340. We have lost someone. Curse of the commentators, and that's Josh Holtz.
But where is he?
Is that under the bridge? Is that under the bridge at turn 17? Yes, it is. So we can see the bridge in the second camera there, up in the top right-hand corner. And just
it's attacked that wall and just kind of spun.
Or is that actually? Is that
at the inside of 17?
It's not. It's not over under the Corvette bridge. Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting some confirmation that is 17. There's your main straight there. Josh will continue taking this one around, because they haven't actually brought the safety car in.
The trouble is, for Josh, he'd be thinking, my God, I've just survived what could have been an absolute disaster, and yet now I've got to trundle around again for a full lap of Sebring. 3 miles of absolute fear, I would say.
Right. Back on board Romer, where it looks like a car in front of him doing a little bit of weaving, a little bit of action. Is that Romer, or is that Chip?
Yeah, so we're expecting
Rossi in
to
front?
see. I think you're right, because we can see the lights of the safety car just up underneath the foot traffic bridge.
Let's see if we can kind of reset this for you right now. Rossi, Romer, Wagner, Blander, and Booth. They make up the top 5. Those are all platinum class cars. Okay, now back over in Pro 1500, you have Persing, Matt Romer, Luke Kendall, you got Expo and Yang, and that is the top 5 in the Pro class there. Then you have Wayne Williams right behind the top 5 of Pro 1500. He sits there at the back end of Platinum. And then Chris Hoon leads the gold class. He's right now in P12 overall. McDougall, Venkatesh, Dennis Kelly, P2 in the gold class, sits in P15. D'Ambrose, still in P16. He leads Pro 1340, that big lead, the 20-something second lead that he had gone. Then you've got Nick Pearson, who had earlier, David Mason, Balkasoon, Deonery, Wolf, and Aaron Ziegler. Josh Holtz toward the back in his Pro 1500. We saw that he had that incident underneath turn 17 there.
So we can see there's sunshine in the distance, grey clouds overhead here at Sebring, and the car's trundling into the fast lane of pit lane behind the safety car. The teams will then have a few minutes to change tyres. Of course, this is a drivers' championship. It's not about having fast team pit stops.
Well, Tom, let's talk about that. What would it cost to have a team that was ready to change tires at a moment's notice? It would totally, completely change what this sport is, what this class is all about. They don't really do that in amateur racing.
That's right. So you're going to see a whole lot of teams, I think, run from different directions of the pit lane. The drivers are obviously all in order, and so they'll get a chance to change onto wet weather tyres. Now, nothing else can be changed on the car, it's just tyres. So perhaps someone elected to run a little bit more wing in case this happened. They might be getting lucky. Mm-hmm. But effectively, the first part of this race is now qualifying, if you like, for the second half of this race, which will start on wet weather tyres.
Yeah, we've been neutralized here. So this is the thing. I know, again, talking with D'Ambrose is a friend of mine, sitting at lunch with him, talking about whether or not there was a possibility of rain. He doesn't like it. He's leading the Pro 1340 class, and oftentimes when you're following those leaders, they are your litmus test, so to speak, to see how they go through the corner. Well, if Mike's not super comfortable in the rain, I think this opens things up. Open things up further back.
You can see here now there's going to be an absolute gaggle of crew members swarm these cars as they go ahead and get their drivers onto the wet.
I'm staring at Rossi's car at the front of the pack. I don't see anybody around it.
No, and that would be, you'd be nervous, wouldn't you, if you're thinking, hang on, where's my crew? Now, this is exactly, though, why this rule exists, because obviously Robert Rossi's crew is dealing with cars at the other end of the field. They're going to have to come up and change tyres, and so that's why we're trying to do this in a relatively calm manner, although as you can see this looks like when they regrid Formula One and everyone swarms back out onto the...
Yeah, and the other thing that is worth mentioning is that the row of cars that you see right there does not necessarily reflect their pit stalls. Correct. So let's take Rossi, for example. He might be, although he's new this year, he doesn't have any seniority in terms of pit lane. He might be all the way at the back. So his pit crew literally has to walk a quarter mile, basically, with some wet tires and some equipment to change and bring that stuff all the way to the front of the grid.
So I feel like this is going to be like a 10-minute sprint. Now Robert Rossi gets some service. What's Robert Rossi thinking? He hasn't been in a Radical for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the last time he was super competitive, had a 4-race win streak. Almost could have won that championship in his debut season.
Yeah.
Now he's coming back. Sebring has treated him well so far, but the game has just completely changed. There's drivers around him that have far more experience, I'd say, on wet weather tyres in these greasy conditions. And could we see the likes of Chip Romer, a former STCA runoffs champion, come through and take a win? Scott Wagner's been exceptional quick in the last half of last year. Didn't quite play the role in the World Finals that perhaps he wanted to. Ben Blander has shown speed. Jim Booth has more laps in a Radical than I think anyone in the world. I think he's on his 17th Radical or something, would you believe? And that's a genuine figure. Jim Booth has been a long-time competitor, won a championship with his son over in Europe, the Radical Masters, which is being reborn this year with Radical Cup Europe, effectively. So we're going to see plenty of action over on the other side of the pond with that. But right now we're looking at drivers who may have a bit more experience, others with naivety, which is sometimes good too.
I'd say so, and you're an experienced racer yourself, Tom. Now, would you, when you're switching over in a situation like this, would you be thinking about the performance of your competitors, or do you now switch from, hey, look, all of this race is inside my own cockpit and trying to figure this out?
Look, at the end of the day, you're only racing yourself, and as much as it's so tempting to start to look at everyone else, start to think about what they're doing, you've got to remain in your own head. All of your energy now has to go into trying to read the circuit. We can see in pit lane there's already some dry spots, and this is the trouble. they're going to burn up the wet weather tyres. So the first couple of laps, you might be managing trying to find the grip on the slick surface, and then all of a sudden I think you're very quickly going to be transitioning to managing the rubber and trying to keep that rubber as cool as possible by finding water, ironically, as we have the second or third lap of this stage 2 of this race.
Yeah, and I might add that while the pavement on the concrete, so on the runway, from turn 16 up to 17, and as you go around 17 and past start finish, that's all concrete. Well, that's going to drive the bumpiest part of the race course. So whatever advantage you would have thought where these 16, 17, 1 will dry quicker, well, that might be the case, but whatever advantage there is gone because the car sometimes leaves the surface. These bumps are so intense through 1 and through 17, sometimes even through 16, that it's not really going to matter. You're going to need all that dryness, all that grip, and you're not going to have it with this bumpy runway that we're racing on.
Well, I think most crew members are starting to walk away from the cars. 13 minutes remain on the clock. There'll undoubtedly be one safety car lap, I would suspect, and then we'll be back to green flag racing. The torque wrenches are out. The wheel guns are being put away. The grooved Hankook rubber is on. Jack's coming down on Robert Rossi's car and just signalling to Mike Eli, his crew chief. Some fun being had in the paddock.
We'll throw a birthday shout out to Josh Holtz. He's in the number 7 car for Crown Concepts. It's his first Radical Cup weekend. He just turned 22.
And a bit of a baptism of fire by turning it around in turn 17.
Yep. Not much of a birthday cake celebration there, but hopefully he will make amends here, as you would like to say, with the last 10 minutes of this race on wet tires, and hopefully he'll have some good, positive stories to tell his friends and family.
So, looking across at some of the livestock in the paddock, and I don't think the cows have any idea what's going on, what's causing all the noise over here. But some fantastic sounds, isn't it? This concrete canyon that is Sebring is just so unbelievable. The cars, the way that the sound reverberates down the straightaway. Years ago, I was lucky enough to drive an original Shelby Cobra around here, and
wow.
There's just something special about hearing the exhaust notes bounce off the concrete. These cars, the high revving Radical engines, just sound spectacular. You could close your eyes and imagine old school Formula One, and wouldn't that be a sight around Sebring? But right now we're going to get a spectacular piece of action, and that is the Radical Cup North America Series with wet tyres. And we're just getting word that we are good to go. So the crew members are being moved away and the cars will be rolling off. The skies, look at that. Ominous skies. The likes of...
Right, so that's facing turn 1, and most of the camera shot that you had been seeing, the static camera shot, was facing down toward turn 17, and it looked, hey, look, it's pretty bright out there. Yeah, but the weather's coming from there.
So Matt Roma heads off into the abyss, under the Lexus Bridge, and down through the pit lane exit into turn 1, and now the work begins, trying to understand how much grip there is, and you can see already there is a pretty slick racetrack, trying to get some heat into the tyres, just understand the dynamics. Of course, hopefully a team set the tyre pressures correctly, and you just got to work this Hankook rubber, try and get some heat across the surface, build some energy into the blocks, the rubber blocks that sit on top of the tyre carcass itself.
Tom, my heart rate's gone up to about 120. I'm just standing here. I'm literally just standing here over the start-finish line talking with you, and my heart rate is going with
well,
these
there's
guys
some
now.
other little tricks to Sebring. So you mentioned the start-finish stripe. It's huge. There's a huge painted piece of tarmac, which says Sebring 12 hours on it.
It's 20 feet long, and during the Porsche Cup race, when it rained sideways, I saw cars going over the painted Sebring sign there at the start-finish line and slipping.
In fact, it used to be bigger.
Yeah.
My first race ever in America was here, and it used to be even longer, and it was absolutely treacherous getting wheel spin across the pavement, even in the dry. So now these guys are going to have to contend with this. You're going to have to be very, very careful on the curbs, thinking about just where you're placing the car in general. Any little moments where you might have used a run over the white line. If you think of turn 16, the entry to that, where you typically run wide and then come back just to open up the corner, maybe you don't now. Because if you've got to put your rubber across a white line, that could be the moment where
super
everything turns from hero to zero.
What do you think? Maybe 3 green laps?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping it's not sort of a green-white checker. Everyone will... I'm sure if you're Robert Rossi, you'd be hoping to go as slow as you humanly possibly could.
He's hoping to go green-white for sure. Yeah.
But the likes of Chip Romer, Scott Wagner... Ben Blander, Scott Wagner, look out for those guys, I think, on this restart.
Oh, for sure.
Now, the same has to be said for... Well, the other thing I've got is what happened to Jonas? Because I've just realised that he's now 4th in class.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pick up on that. Maybe
I didn't
you did.
either. I didn't
But
either.
I think maybe that occurred when we were looking at all of the commotion with Josh Holtz. Obviously, some really tricky conditions. But Jonas with some work to do now after a stellar run in the first phase of this race and, of course, qualifying before that. So Ryan Persing has the pressure in Pro 1500. He'll be the guinea pig. Everyone else behind him will be hopefully picking up on his cues. Robert Rossi is, of course, the real guinea pig out there because he's going to be the first driver through all of this and has to decide how much he pushes, how fast does he go. God knows is the answer to that question. Now, the starter isn't looking really like he's picking up any kind of flag, so I just wonder whether we are going to get one more sighting lap.
D'Ambrose again's leading in 1340. He's got Nico Balkasoon behind him, the 13-year-old. Finds himself in P2.
So the safety car is in. Robert Rossi comes around the final quarter. You can see that drivers behind are big, and even now... They're being very, very cautious. And Chip Romer actually had a moment. Chip Romer had a huge moment at the exit of turn 17. It's going to be treacherous as anything as they head down
here comes
into
Romer.
turn 1.
Romer, as we stay with turn 1, looks like he's giving Persing a little bit of a
Matt Romer
challenge
to
inside.
The inside. Persing on the outside. Both of them trying to find grip. Everyone just being extremely cautious. Side by side, and Romer
and that's
now.
Kendall.
Wow,
that's position. That is for the lead, we think, in Pro 1500.
So spectacular restart for Kendall.
Kendall slow though. Persing gets by him.
Yeah, and you can see Jonas Expo now trying to line up Kendall, so perhaps just in the wrong gear, just not quite getting the pull out of the corner. He looks fine now, under full speed, but this is dangerous stuff, if you like.
And that's
because
Booth and Wagner.
Multiple Platinum Class cars in the mix. They won't be as quick under brakes.
Here comes Expo with Williams on the outside.
And they're all being very, very good at the moment. Now, it looks very, very dry around here. So then you've got the awkwardness of leaning on the tyre into the corners. And because it's a wet tyre,
look at
the
Williams.
blocks start
He's
to move
boxed
around.
in. He's boxed in. He can't. You know what? Wayne is just
flipping
out.
And
A little tap. A little tap, and around he goes.
So that was Wagner, was it?
And Expo off.
Expo's been caught in that. He was just a passenger. That's disaster for him. And was that Kendall who just outbroke himself with the Platinum Class cars who couldn't, they're heavier cars. They can't pull up as quick. I think that was just not quite picking up on the fact that the car in front wasn't going to brake in the same position.
Jackie Yang making some moves here. He is currently P3 in Pro 1500. Matt Romer, there's Pershing going down the inside at 16.
This is
they
tight
touch
stuff. They did touch, but I think it was okay. It was just a little tap on the way through, and Jonas Axpo with more damage.
Jonas.
So that is absolute disaster. The kid who was in the lead of this race before the full course caution and red flag has significant damage on the Tiger Beetle car. So I know the story now of Tiger Beetle, and it's the fastest insect for its size. So hence why sponsoring motorsport.
Hoon racing tightly right now, it looks like, against McDougall. Side by side, Hoon on the outside there, McDougall inside of turn 1. Looks like Hoon's got it.
Giving each other space, great to see. And Wayne Williams
Around Wagner.
Scott Wagner. Now, this
Luke
is
Kendall looking at Wagner.
Yeah, and this is the challenge that the Pro 1500 drivers have. They're much quicker in the corners. They probably feel more confident because of the lightweight nature of the SR3 machine. The high horsepower cars, you can see Wayne Williams just kind of tiptoeing around. And
Tom, watch this battle. Watch this battle that we're going to have between Yang and Kendall. I'm going to be watching that one tightly. That is going to be the final step on the podium. Chris Hoon looking at Jack Yang.
Ooh. And again, great driving. Both of them leaving room. How did Jack Yang see that in the mirrors? That was heads-up driving by Jack Yang just to leave enough space. Otherwise, he was going to get turned around.
How about Evan Wolf down in Pro 1340 up in P2 right behind D'Ambrose? No gap there. They're on top of each other.
And all the drivers diving down, just having a look. Could see that there was a debris flag, I think, out on circuit. It wasn't a yellow flag, I don't think.
And that's McDougall looking at Hoon at the center of your screen, just passing the flag right there. Hoon with the white front end and the dark back.
So full course caution is out. We've got the Tiger Beetle car, so hasn't gone anywhere.
And that's going to do it, I think, Tom. With 2 minutes, 28 seconds to go, Robert Rossi still in the lead there. Ryan Persing still has the lead in Pro 1500. Hoon still has the lead in gold. And Mike D'Ambrose is probably the guy happiest on the track right now to see a full course caution, as he's got Evan Wolf breathing down his neck for
Ben
P1.
Blander doing a solid job coming through to eclipse a few of the Platinum class drivers to be up in second place. Chip Roma has really done a good job as well. The white flag is out on the leaders. So Robert Rossi surviving the drama that has ensued, the chaos behind him.
Go get him, Benny Blander. P2 for him if he can get this thing around under the full course caution. Excellent work, Ben.
And that, of course, is the other thing. It's not over yet. Just because the white flag and the full course caution is out, they still need to tour. They still need to get home to the checker. And anything can happen. You know, it's easy to just take your eye off the ball slightly in these conditions.
Oh, we've seen it. We've seen people spin or crash under full course caution on a regular basis. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Real shame that we couldn't remain green, because you just started to mention it. Mike D'Ambrose with Evan Wolf and Declan Dionerine behind him. The top three in Pro 1340 line astern, and it just seemed like Wolf was finding his feet in the conditions. So too with Declan. Sam McDougall doing a solid job of sort of recarving their way back up through the field. Chris Hoon, who's had a solid run throughout this race. And then, of course, Ryan Persing with Matt Roma, side-by-side action for half the lap.
Great
awesome stuff.
Really impressed with all of the P2s in each of the classes at this point. Blander just kind of hung out. He didn't do anything remarkable. He just did the laps that he needed to do.
You know what I like as well? Like, okay, we did have that little mishap and bit of a melee into the braking zone there in turn 10, but maybe inevitable. But what we've just seen is amazing heads-up driving, given the trying conditions, given the fact that everyone had, you know, their apple cart completely upset by the conditions. They had to go back out there, find their feet in really, really, it is difficult to just know how much to push, how much can you lean on the brake pedal, will you have the grip when you turn in? and everyone was giving each other room. Everyone was driving really with their heads up and putting on a tremendous show, but giving each other the respect that Charlie Kimball has asked for in the driver's briefing.
I agree with that. Matt Romer, P2 in Pro 1500. Again, Matt didn't do anything himself remarkable other than keep himself in it to pick up the pieces when things were going to fall down. Same thing with Wolf. Evan Wolf, we didn't really talk too much about him most of the race, but as things started to fall apart, well, here he is now, P2. He's going to get himself a lovely podium in his debut in the Radical Cup of North America.
So I think already we've started to see how this championship might shape up a little bit. Robert Rossi, a brand new contender, he's certainly going to have a big impact on the season. Ben Blander looks like he's right in the mix of things. Of course, Chip Romer and Wayne Williams, Scott Wagner, even Jim Booth. No surprise that they will be in the mix. Ryan Persing. This is going to be a spectacular day for him. You mentioned Matt Romer's performance. Luke Kendall, impressive, beating his teammate Jack Yang.
Jack was wishing for one more lap.
You know, it's absolute heartbreak for Jonas Axpo, but he's already proved to everyone that he's a force to be reckoned with this season. Sam McDougall, very impressive. And then, of course, D'Ambrose, an older driver in the field, always super fast. Evan Wolf looks impressive. I got to say, Aaron Ziegler, very good run for him.
Yep, same deal, keeping it clean. Pick up the pieces when everything kind of falls apart, and maybe you'll have a result.
And Nico Balkazoon, what a superstar, 13 years of age, has come through. Okay, he's a little bit further down than possibly what he would like in terms of his class result, but he's just chipped away at every session, hasn't put a foot wrong, and has survived what is undoubtedly one of the toughest drives he's going to have in motorsport, jumping back into a car, first time on wet weather tyres in these cars, in a motor race.
Yeah, it's really impressive to see him, the 13-year-old. He's actually got a little bit of time in karts, but not much time in radicals at all. In fact, I'd say no time in radicals. Did a little bit of Ferrari Challenge over the fall or winter time there in 2025, but otherwise the 13-year-old keeping his head down and keeping his program reasonable and coming out with some nice results.
Well, that somewhat wraps it up from the Radical Cup. We're going to be going down to celebrate the victors in a moment. It's going to be a little while, though, because they're still trundling behind the safety car as they return to the paddock. I think, Mike, I might start making my way down there in a moment, but perhaps while we've got this moment, you could tell everyone at home what it is like to drive these wonderful machines around a place like Sebring. You've got a lot of experience behind the wheel of a Radical, and they're not a bad thing if you want to get into motorsport.
No, 7 years of basically full seasons in Radical Cup. I've enjoyed both the 1340 and the 1500 class, and yeah, they are absolutely a joy to drive. We talk about it all the time in terms of the power to weight ratio, the speed, the lap times that you can get in amateur racing. It's really difficult to ignore the Radical Cup. I mean, these cars are doing lap times similar to Porsche Cup cars, sometimes quicker, and certainly in tighter tracks where those bigger high horsepower cars that you would traditionally see on television, and the Radicals can really take those things, pick them apart. So, really cool cars to drive, and we are now seeing these days a lot more youngsters in this class. Why are we seeing more youngsters in this class? Well, it's really expensive to be young and to go into open wheel racing and to try to be a professional. Whereas you can go in the Radical Cup and spend literally a quarter of the budget that you would in a USF Pro car or a USF Juniors car, and you can really have a family kind of shake down their youngster and see, hey, look, does this person have Does this kid have what it takes to compete at the highest level? And you could do that in the Radical Cup and in a scenario where it is very, very competitive, but it's not the cost. It's not the $800,000 a year cost of going open wheel racing. And so this series has become very popular with the younger set. We've got a 13-year-old. We have a 14-year-old. We've got a 17-year-old. We've got some teenagers cruising around here, and they're all competent. So, yeah, Radical Cup is definitely an avenue for kids to look at for sure. Sebring's been it's been an absolute pleasure to be out here at Sebring. The weather's been lovely. We did have some rain showers, but I think that's what happens in South Central Florida in the afternoon. It just kind of happens every day, and then it breaks up and sun comes out and off we go. So, yeah, it's been 85 and warm, sunny, and, occasional rain. It moves in, it moves out. And then, it's just been a lovely time to get away from the north. Many of the people dealing with tough weather up north, and it was a real pleasure to take in the first weekend of Radical Cup. But we're not done. 2 more races tomorrow. We got race 2 and 3 toward the afternoon, and can't wait for those as we continue in the first weekend of the Radical Cup in 2026 here in North America. So long.
time to get the podium presentation underway for race 1 of round 1 of the Radical Cup North America Series for 2026. And we'll start, as we often do, with Pro 1340, a newcomer to the championship, a young kid no doubt with a big future, and it all starts today. Congratulations, home third in Pro 1340, Declan Dionorine. Congratulations, Declan, wearing the suit of his older brother Mayer, who's also raced and won in this championship. And now the younger brother on the podium here at Sebring in Radical Cup North America. Congratulations, home in second place for Crown Racing, Evan Wolf. And taking a tremendous win. This man's raced Radicals for years and years. He can certainly still do it. Congratulations, Mike D'Ambrose for Team Stradale and Adam Autobahn. And Mike, I've just got to get a very quick couple of words. That was really tough conditions once you went back out there behind the safety car to restart the race.
It was a little dicey, but I got to thank Antoine Comu, who came today. I've been working with him for, God knows, 5 or 6 years. Mackay Stevens, thank you, because he gave me some lessons, some rain lessons. And yeah, it was a little bit all over the place, but a great race, and I had a lot of fun.
Well, congratulations.
Hey, one for the old guys, buddy.
One for the old guys, I know.
Scoot in, guys.
Declan's really bringing down that average age on the podium here. Guys, get nice and tight together.
Look here.
Get those trophies at chest height, and then nice and high. Ladies and gentlemen, give these guys a round of applause. We're going to bring in the champagne. Declan, we're going to have to turn a blind eye. But Declan, you're going to have to learn how to spray some champagne here, mate, because you're going to be doing this a lot in your career ahead. So get the cage off, prepare that bottle, and thumb over the top, then shake. We'll count you down. 3, 2, 1, let's celebrate. Right, we'll move on to Pro 1500, and congratulations, Pro 1340 drivers in Pro 1500. A new year, a new team, and a podium. Congratulations, Luke Kendall for Valor Racing. Luke brings home third place here at Sebring. In second place for One Motorsports, it's Matt Roma. And a teammate to Matt Roma now. Congratulations, taking the win today, Ryan Persing. Now, it was going to be a One Motorsports car, first or second, I believe. Ryan, that was quite the dice you had with the man to your right.
Yeah, it was a good battle. It was a respectful battle. I mean, we're teammates and we respect each other a lot. So we both kept it on track, and a 1-2 is what's important right now. So I'm glad we got that done.
Well, and very important that it was you number one, correct? That was tremendous stuff. Taking the win.
Look at here.
Ryan Persing. Matt Roma, I think, is going to be back for the number one position tomorrow. Congratulations, gentlemen. Let's give these guys a round of applause while the champagne is brought up. It's time to celebrate on the podium, a very storied podium here at Sebring International Raceway. Ryan Persing adding to a long list of names that have celebrated, taken wins here at this hallowed ground. Let's celebrate, gentlemen. Well done to all three of you. Congratulations. In the gold class, David Mason brings home third place. David Mason on the podium. Dennis Kelly, home second. Congratulations to the Group A driver. And taking the win, a well-deserved one. Absolutely in control of this class so far this weekend. It's Chris Hoon takes the win. Chris, congratulations back on the podium for Radical Cup. It's a nice feeling, I know, but again, tough conditions.
Yeah, it's not what I expected, but it was a ton of fun. Learned a lot. You know, you don't get a lot of chances to run on wet tires, so that was actually a good experience.
Wet tyres, a chance to run on them in the rain. It changed everything. You did the business though. Congratulations, taking the win. Chris Hoon in the gold class. Trophy's nice and high, gentlemen. Give these guys a round of applause. And Hector Pinheiro will bring up the champagne for you to celebrate. It's time to pop some bottles, gentlemen. Get those champagne bottles prepared. Thumb over the top. Let's celebrate here at Sebring. Congratulations, always good to have a swig of champagne. It does taste good somehow on the podium, doesn't it, gentlemen? And in the platinum class, congratulations, home third. Chip Roma, another One Motorsports driver. Like son, like father today. In second place for Team Stradale, Ben Blander back on the podium in Radical Cup racing. And speaking of making a comeback, it's been a couple of years of hiatus for this next man. He's come back with a vengeance, taking his first win of the 2026 season. It's Robert Rossi for Giant Racing. And Robert, the last time you were on the top step of the podium, I think, in Radical Cup racing, you were on a winning streak. It was something like 4 wins in a row. Is this the start of the same thing this year?
Well, I hope so.
You hope so. This is unbelievable, though, to return. What were you thinking when the red flag came out? You're sitting there in pit lane, the crew changing the tyres. It must the heart rate must have gone up a little bit.
Yeah, it was a little confusing because we had no radio the whole race. So I was just kind of just looking at the flag station, just kind of trying to figure it out. Haven't been done this in a while, so but we got it done. So
you didn't put a foot wrong. You put every foot right. Congratulations, home first in the platinum class today, gentlemen. Those trophies at chest height and they're nice and high. Give these guys a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Taming the high horsepower SR10 monsters around Sebring in the wet conditions. And now it is time to celebrate. The average age is up slightly on this podium. I feel like these guys know how to celebrate. Pop a bottle or two, and they do indeed. Celebrating on the podium here at Sebring. That has been Radical Cup North America Race 1, Round 1 at Sebring. We'll see you back tomorrow for Race 2 and 3. It's time to celebrate.
Sorry to interrupt, but am I clear?